Приглашаю для доклада, в общем-то, человека-легенду в IDC. Это наш старший вице-президент и главный аналитик Фрэнк Дженс. Фрэнк,
Thank you, Ismail. Good morning, and thank you for joining us today for the IT Security, the Security Roadshow. We have a fantastic audience here. Many security experts, all of you sitting right here. And we've got our sponsors, our speakers, our experts on security. I just want to make a confession. I am not an expert on security. So you may be asking, well, why am I here? Why do I have a microphone? And the reason is that as you look at what I do, I am the chief analyst at IDC. And so that's a fun job in the first place. But one of the reasons it's fun is that I spend most of my time traveling around the world, talking to CIOs, to IT directors. I often will now be talking to business executives, so CEOs or CFOs, the business executives who, they love IT except when they hate IT. And so what I want to do today is start our conversation about security by talking about what the CIOs and what the business executives are thinking about in general, and of course what they think about security. I think probably all of us will know this idea is that certainly the business executives, they don't think about security at all. They hate the idea of security. Security is not interesting to them, whatever, until something goes wrong. Right? Then that is very important. So that's the reality, of course, that all of us live with. But what I want to talk to you about is, well, how is the world of IT in the enterprise going to be changing over the next year, 2 years, the next 5 years and beyond? And then what that means for the challenges in security. And then we'll be able to spend the day today talking about, well, how is security going to change the technologies and the practices going to change to adapt to this changing world of IT. So, as I say, I'm going to talk just a little bit about security. I'm mostly going to talk about what's the environment, the IT environment going to be looking like over the next several years, in which we now will have to rethink our approaches to security. So at IDC, last year, we introduced a picture or a vision of what the IT industry would be looking like for the next 20 years. And we called this new period of IT, we talked about the third platform. So the third platform. Well, what was the second platform? So the second platform is right in the middle here. And if you look at it, the second platform started in the 1980s with the introduction of the personal computer and Ethernet technology and TCP/IP, relational databases, and on top of that platform, client-server applications. And if you think about it, those technologies together could be considered a single platform. That for the last 20 or 25 years, our companies have all built value on top of that second platform. And it was not just IT innovation, it was business and industry innovation built on top of this second platform. So what is the third platform? Our opinion is that right now, in 2012, and really the last few years, we've been seeing the development of this third platform. And you'll recognize the technologies that are the essential ingredients of this third platform. Cloud computing as the new core, really replacing the client-server application architecture, sort of a cloud architecture. And of course, the edge of the network being extended dramatically with all of these mobile devices, smart mobile devices. And the expansion of the reach of technology through mobile broadband networks. Of course, not, beyond the fixed networks. That's really the platform. It's cloud at the center, mobile devices at the edge, and mobile networks connecting them. And then on top of that, new ways to create value through this avalanche, this large volume of big data that's being generated. And of course, the ability now to connect people, our thinking, our ideas, collaboration through social networking technologies. So we consider those 5: mobile networks, mobile devices and apps, cloud, big data, and social technologies as the center of this third platform. And our prediction is that it's already begun, is that your companies will be increasingly building their value to their customers on top of this third platform. And so for the next 20 years, 15, 20, 25 years, these third platform technologies will be the center. They'll be the new mainstream. Right? So we're very comfortable with PCs and client server and the rest. Well, we can't feel comfortable anymore because the new center is up at the top, that third platform. And so that is what I want to spend a few minutes talking about is, as we go to this third platform era, what does that mean for security? What does that mean? And I think a lot of us already know some of the ways things are going to change. But let's talk about it together. So first point I want to bring up is often I will talk to people. I've talked for the last 4 years or so about cloud. So that's been a very big topic. And when I've traveled to different places, I'll often hear some people say, well, cloud is hype. Cloud is good in the US. It's good in Western Europe, but it's not going to work in Russia. Or I remember speaking in front of CIOs in Africa, and they're saying, cloud, that means big public internet. We can't even get dependable electric power to many of our countries. So how is cloud going to work here? And often now people will say, well, consumerization and mobile devices, that's also hype. We can't secure it, and it's very expensive, and so therefore, it's going to take a long time. Why do I have this gentleman's picture up here? I want to give you a different view of those technologies. This gentleman, his name is William Gibson, and he's a science fiction writer. And he's written a lot of very futuristic stories about the cyber world. And so he had a wonderful quote. People said, well, William, how do you know? How are your books able to see so well, what's going to happen in the future? Because a lot of his books, 10 years ago, now it looks like the world we see today. And he said, well, it's easy, actually. It's easy. The future actually is already here. It's already arrived. It's just not everywhere yet. You can see bits of it hidden in different places. So I do believe, as an analyst, I depend on this. We're already seeing pieces of what the future of IT is going to look like. They're already happening here. And I know certainly all of you understand that the global players in the IT markets, they are driven by where the large markets where the money is. And so if you've got an HP or a Kaspersky or Oracle or IBM or Symantec or any of these companies, they're not going to wait for every market to go to the third platform. They're starting to invest in the third platform security technologies right now. So I'm going to give you some evidence that this third platform is already here. So let's look at some of the key technologies. It's very interesting. 2012, 2010, 2011, 2012, the third platform technologies in some areas are already larger in terms of money. They're already larger than the second platform. Right, so let me give you some examples. Mobile broadband networks. In 2012, it will be the first year in which spending on mobile broadband communication services, data services, will be larger than fixed data telecom services. So we've been seeing this coming for a long time. right? We've seen it coming, but this is the year in which actually the mobile data network spending will be larger than the fixed data network spending. And by the way, it's not going to ever go back, right? The mobile will continue to be larger. And in the world of devices, last year, the number of smart mobile devices, so I'm talking about smartphones and tablets, so just those two, so smartphones and tablets, this is the number of units shipped each year. So you can see that in 2010, more PCs shipped than smart mobile devices. But then now, look at this year. Smart mobile devices, there will be over 700 million smart mobile devices shipping, and there'll be less than 400 million PCs shipping. And people say, well, that's units. What about the money? 2012 will be the year in which the money actually crosses over. So smart mobile devices will just generate more revenue than PCs. So again, it's not the death of the PC, but it certainly is the death of the PC-centric world. You know, the center of the device, end device, will be the mobile device. It's already here. In the world of data, let's look at that example. Of course, big data, people talk about big data. One of the key ingredients in the big data movement is about unstructured data. So, and again, that's text, it's video and audio, it's unstructured, and that crossed over in 2010. Is the amount of unstructured data became larger than the structured data. And of course, that is exploding, unstructured data. And so again, we have a lot of information that will become available to us, and that will dominate the world of data. And then the last is just, we're talking about technologies. I want to introduce, since we're here in Russia, of course, you've probably heard of the term BRIC. Right? So emerging markets like Russia, like India, China, Brazil, and many others. In 2011, more than 50% of the new growth in IT spending in the world happened in the emerging markets. Right? So the emerging markets growth became larger than the developed markets growth. And again, that's going to continue for a long time. And a good example of that is China. In 2012, they will knock Japan out of the number 2 position as the second largest IT market in the world. And again, and then China will be looking at the United States, and it'll be coming after, it'll be looking for number 1. And so certainly within the next 5 or 10 years, it could achieve that goal. So the market, again, what's my key point? The market, this third platform market, it's already here. So don't be holding off saying, well, we'll get to the third platform when it arrives. It's already right here. And if you put all of those things together, we estimated, we took all of IT spending on products, and we said, well, if you were to look at the third platform technologies and look at the second platform technologies, where is the spending going to be between now and 2020? And you can see that, yes, as they say, the old stuff doesn't go away, right? So that's the yellow. But take a look at the numbers on the right. Well, if we actually look on the left, already, my earlier point, 20% of spending in 2012, 20% is on the third platform technologies. As you start building out, I didn't talk much about cloud. Cloud is moving a little bit more slowly because that's actually transforming the core. That takes a little bit of time. But by the time you get out to 2020, you've got over a third of IT spending is on the third platform. But the most important thing is, take a look at that number, 70%. Between 2012 and 2020, over 70% of the new growth in investment in IT in your companies is going to be on the third platform. That's phenomenal. And take a look at the growth rates. You can see that as we get out farther along, the third platform will dominate. So what's my point here? My point is, let's not wait to understand how we make mobile, social, big data, cloud-based information system secure? We have to figure it out now. Okay, so one of my core points is, as we talk today, I would really look to the experts we have in the room here and just ask them, you know, how are we going to approach this? Let's talk for a few minutes just about this. I wanted to also say that one of the reasons you're seeing that high growth investment in third platform technologies is because the business executives see competitive advantage in building new systems, new business systems, new go-to-market systems on top of the third platform. You know, cloud and mobile make it a lot easier and cheaper to reach new customers. So we're seeing in lots of industries right now the development of, see up at the top of the third platform, we've identified a new category of industry solutions that are about really transformation of industries. And you're looking at things like using cloud and big data for payment fraud management, so advanced systems that help detect fraud. Or you can see down at the bottom there, social mobile commerce. If you're in the retail industry, you have to be able to reach your customers, and particularly the young customers, through their mobile devices, and you better be on Facebook and the other systems. And you can see lots of other smart buildings and demand response in the energy and utilities sector. We've just counted, we think there are going to be thousands of these new, business advantage systems built on the third platform over the next several years, thousands of them. We've just started counting the early ones, and we've analyzed and sized a little over 40 of them already. We're working through them. We've analyzed over 40 that alone will generate over $200 billion in IT spending by the time we get to 2015. And I gave some examples here of companies that you would not think of as IT vendors. They're in industries, but they're using IT almost like IT vendors. And this is what we call the next generation of retailers, of health providers, of financial services companies. Metascale. That is a company that is part of Sears, a large retail chain in the United States. They are using big data to analyze customer demand in retail stores. And so Sears created Metascale. They're going to sell big data retail analysis services to the retail industry. You can see Peak Healthcare. That's Johns Hopkins Hospital, a big medical center in the United States, together with Harris Corp. And they're doing medical imaging cloud services for sharing. So you can see these are examples of these intelligent industry solutions. They're not about server capacity. They're not about storage capacity. They're about business services in the cloud. So that's why we're not going to stop anybody by saying it's hard to secure, because they're interested in building the business. And so the number one priority is on using the technologies. The second priority is, okay, now how do we secure it? And then one other element around, again, this trade-off and pressure building around end customers or consumers and employees. I wanted to just give you one data point about this business value. So going back to the business executives, we asked them, what percentage of your IT 3 years from now do you think will be based on cloud? And the median response was 45% of our IT. Now, I don't believe that's going to happen that fast, because it's hard to make these kind of changes. But you can see in the minds of business executives, they're already thinking we are going to move to cloud. So here's the pressure. You ask the IT directors in those same companies, what's the number one issue that holds you back from cloud? Security. Right? So we've come to the right place. Right? So we know that business executives want the advantage of the third platform, but the IT directors in their companies are worried about, number one, security. Around the same kind of issue, this friction, this pressure as I was mentioning, around consumers and end users. They want convenience. So let me show you an example. We surveyed some users recently, asking them to tell us what percentage of their time when they access their enterprise applications. When they access enterprise applications, are they using their personal device or are they using the business device? And so in 2010, 31% of the time they were using their personal device. Just 1 year later, 2011, that was 41%. And I can tell you, if we do the survey this year, I'm sure it will be over 50%. It's happening so quickly. And so this idea of your enterprises are going to be connected to by devices you don't own and you don't control. Again, whether you like it or not, that is happening, and it's happening very, very quickly. And yet, you talk to the IT directors and ask IT directors in the enterprise, what are you worried about with all of these consumer and mobile devices coming in? What are all the things you worry about? Looks very similar. The number one worry is maintaining the appropriate level of security for mobile devices and mobile applications. So, again, you've got this incredible pressure, convenience of the user, business value of the executive, all pushing to the third platform, and yet the reality, we need to secure these. This is the top worry of the IT executive who's looking at that. So again, I think we've come to the right place. I think these are the questions we have to ask today and look for some good answers. So what are the implications for security? This is really a summary of what we just said, which is we are going to live in a world, this is going to be the mainstream world. It's not the future, it's right here. We're going to be in a world where there are many different mobile devices that are attaching to your network that you don't own, you don't control, you don't manage. On those devices, there are going to be thousands, there are already thousands of mobile apps, again, that you don't have any idea where they came from, what's inside of them. Our forecast for 2012 is that there will be 85 billion mobile apps downloaded. 85 billion. I mean, that's a big number. The number of PC apps that are typically sold in a year are maybe hundreds of millions. Hundreds of millions of PC apps. We're already at almost 100 billion mobile apps, so it's like a tidal wave coming on. Cloud services, an increasing number of cloud services are being accessed by your employees and actually a core part of your IT environment now. And again, these are in the hands of service providers. So all of the issues of how do we audit and how do we verify the security practices and standards of third-party service providers. I think by the time we get to 2020, if you look at an average enterprise, the percentage of their IT that they source from outside providers will be twice as high as the percentage that they use now. So let's say a shop that uses 20% of their IT comes from hosters or outsourcers. That will certainly be at least 40% by the time you get to 2020 because of cloud. An increasing amount of big data is going to be sourced into your company, again, data that you don't necessarily own, you didn't create, and that you're going to need to understand, how to secure that, how to manage that. Again, if you think about those intelligent industry solutions, the business advantage solutions, probably 80% of them are about analyzing big data. And so you can't say to your executives, we're not going to let you have that business advantage. We don't know where that data came from. And of course, as I just mentioned, there's a premium value on business competitiveness and on convenience. That is always going to be higher than security. So that's the world we're living in. The new normal is we have to secure all of these assets that we don't own, control, or manage, and that are not behind a firewall, but they're out in the open. I like to say that the old world of security was, how can I get most of what I have behind my firewall? The third platform most of what you're going to use will never be behind your firewall. It's out in the open, so the fundamental challenge is how do you secure things that are in the open? So I'll leave you with just our security technology team put together this list of sort of the core technologies by the 4 major pieces of the third platform. And a couple of things going on here. One is that obviously we don't want to be reactive. You want to have a strategy that's proactive. So a lot of the focus today are on these technologies that are proactive. How can we prevent, as much as we can, security breaches, security lapses from happening? And then, of course, trying to move to more predictive. Just a couple of points on this. I think if you take a look at the whole idea of big data, how does big data help us become better at security? I think a lot of the work going on to create integrated security information and event management, so SIEM systems, that is a very core area of investment for many CIOs looking at, because right now we all know security is very fragmented. And I think as you get to the third platform, that makes things even worse. So I think these integrated environments are key. So security data and data management is key. I think other things here, VDI, you don't often see that, and these are virtual desktops or virtual devices. People don't always talk about that as security, but it is. I think, to me, that's going to be one of the key answers as we get more broadband, more high-performance broadband networks and higher performance devices. One strategy for creating a secure environment on mobile devices will be to create a virtual remote device on that device that you can control, that you are able to audit and maintain, and the end user can have all their own personal stuff and the rest of the device, but you've created a safe environment. I won't go through all of these, but again, I think if you look at the predictive, that's the excitement for the security industry and security professionals of big data and cloud and one of my key points is that this third platform is going to create some new solutions in addition to the problems. Right? So, and I think that's an important thing to be looking at from your suppliers. Are they using cloud, compute, all of that horsepower, all of that performance? Are they using big data analytics to help you get ahead of the next threat, to be more predictive? So it's not just how are they addressing the problems, but how are they using the platform themselves? And then just a point here is just to say that obviously some of you live in the highly regulated world, and some of you live in the less regulated world. So if you're on the right side, I think obviously you've got more opportunity to take advantage of some of the emerging third platform-based technologies, some of the cloud-based technologies. And so I would urge you to be doing that. So to summarize up, as we go into the rest of the day, I think some very important things to think about. Again, the third platform is the new reality. It's the new normal. It's already here. It's not hype. If you're somebody who's saying this will never work, you'll remind me of the guy I remember reading a magazine, a computer magazine in 1986. The name of the article the title was The Personal Computer. Boom, big advantage or a fiasco. And the argument of the author was, well, these PCs, everyone loves them, but they're expensive, they're hard to maintain, we can't secure them. And I think we all know that author was on the wrong side of the argument. Right? So we don't want to be on the wrong side of the argument. We want to be on the right side of the third platform. Again, challenging our traditional assumptions about security. And I think lastly, and this is, I think, a great way to enter the rest of the discussion today, is I think we need to bring some new thinking into our security technologies and strategies. Selecting the technologies and the strategies that are designed for these new realities. I talked a little bit about that. Again, use of encryption at rest is going to become much more affordable with cloud computing than it was before. In the past, you'd say, I could never afford, in terms of cost or in terms of performance penalty, I could never afford to encrypt everything. Now you look at the economics of cloud, maybe we can encrypt quite a bit more than we once thought. And then I think the other is the vendors. And again, this is a good opportunity here, look closely at these vendors. And again, I'd be asking them questions not just about this technology or that, but ask them about these issues that I've raised, that are not about the past, but really are about the present and the center of this future we're all moving to. So with that, let me thank you for your attention and have a great rest of the conference. Thank you.
Большое спасибо.